So did you see this when it comes to Algorand? So around 2 weeks ago, they actually promoted 3 people in terms of a job promotion, even though nothing I say is financial advice, and even though I'll talk about the price later on in the video, which clearly hasn't done the best in the past 24 hours, but I'll give my thoughts on that. But I first want to talk about this in case someone didn't see it just around 2 weeks ago. But here's the thing. So again, around 2 weeks ago, they promoted Bruno Martins, Will Beaumont, and as well as Brian Whippo. But here's the thing. When I take a look at this right here, what I find very interesting is what they did in regard to Brian, which is the former head of developer relations and how he has been promoted to senior director of integrations and developer tooling. It matters because, to me at least, there is an aspect of AI when it comes to what he may be responsible in doing. Let me explain what I mean by this. This post right here says how Brian will be responsible for developer relations and developer tooling, and he will build out a new practice to help the businesses, ecosystem partners, and AI agents bring new activity on chain. Why does this matter? Well, it's because, of course, AI, it's a big narrative. A lot of people care about it. Maybe within this space as of right now, not such a big topic like what it was last year and the year before, because the space hasn't been doing the best. But still, if the market were to pick up again, if the sentiment were to change, which may kind of be a little bit of a difficult thing to imagine as of right now, but sometimes we do see the market randomly recover. I can't control that in a pure hypothetical, but I'm saying if it does, usually people might care about projects that have a focus when it comes to AI. And I think Algorand kind of understands that, which is why I think maybe even just around 2 weeks ago, they were looking to bolster their sort of AI presence. At least that's my point of view. Or not, why else would they promote Brian Whippo, who is the former head of developer relations, and promoting him to senior director of integrations and developer tooling? I think that right there is really awesome, because if we take a look at developer tooling, of course, if developer tooling is improved on, if it's made more simple and whatnot, I think if anything, it's only natural if more developers could maybe enter. And the thing is, if developers enter, or should I say more developers enter, and they start building, and let's say what they build, maybe some of it gains traction. If it gains traction, maybe in some cases, adoption becomes better, popularity becomes better. It just naturally elevates something like Algorand. So why would that be a bad thing? If anything, I think it was a pretty cool thing that they did, again, around 2 weeks ago. And sure, as of right now, Algorand, people like to say, well, it's down almost 10% in the past 24 hours. However, to me, I really have no big concerns, because my perspective has always been, I'm treating this like a marathon. It's not a sprint. Keep in mind, before, when Algorand had a pretty slight recovery because of the news that came out that it was mentioned quite a good amount of times in Google's quantum paper, because of that, we saw a pretty good recovery when it comes to Algorand. Now it's having a slight pullback, but keep in mind, I was believing in Algorand before it had that recovery, and I'm still believing in it as of right now. My belief when it comes to Algorand is not dependent on what happens to the price charts. It's dependent on what I think about the fundamentals, because I'm thinking about more so of the long term. That's the thing. I know some people out there who were saying just not that long ago, wow, I can't believe I ignored Algorand. Now they're saying they don't care anymore about Algorand because of this pullback. So what happens if Algorand has a hypothetical recovery? What, are they going to randomly care about it again? That's not how I operate. Personally, for me, if I believe in a project, I stay with it for the long term, because I treat it like a marathon. I don't treat it like a sprint. Personally, for me, I dollar cost average only once a month. That's it, for the projects that I'm a fan of. Not any more, not any less. That's it. Do I have to do that? No. But I'm voluntarily choosing to do so anyways, because I like to. Right? And also, I still like the project nonetheless. However, at the same time, when it comes to Algorand, people like to tell me, but why even choose this? It's not even the biggest, and it's not even a microcap, so what could it really do? But to me, that's kind of the point. I want to look for a project that's not too big, but not too small either. I want something a little bit in between, and I do believe that Algorand is, because at around $1 billion in terms of market cap, it's currently ranked 54th in the world in terms of market cap within this space. So it's not too massive where, sometimes we see these projects have around like a 40-30% recovery. It's like, okay, sure, I guess. I find that really boring. But besides that, A microcap, sure, maybe some of them could do something so legendary in some cases, but that's like very rare. And for one, that makes it a lot don't. I just kind of don't really want to take a look at that. I'd rather take a look at something that's a little bit more established, kind of not too big, not too small, has still a good community, still has a proven sort of track record fundamentally, but again, not too massive. And, Algorand is one of the projects that I like because it kind of fits the criteria that I'm looking for. It's not too massive, but it's not too small either. And the thing for me is, because of this, actually, because of this pullback that we've seen for a lot of projects ever since 2024 and 2025, because of that, Algorand actually, as of right now, is down by quite a lot when compared to where it was just back in January of 2025. It was around 45 cents. Now, of course, it's below 12 cents, so around 11 cents for simplicity's sake. We're basically over 4 times lower than where we were just in January of 2025, approximately. January of 2025, that was just slightly over a year ago. And that's not even its all-time high. So if it could just go back to that, it already feels like an altcoin season to me. So when people like to tell me, well, what happens if you don't see an altcoin season? Are you worried? They like to ask me that. The answer is no. Because if Algorand could just go back to January of 2025, it already feels like an altcoin season to me. Again, we're basically over 4 times lower than that, approximately. And the thing is Bitcoin over 4 times lower than its all-time high? No, it's not. But the thing is, around 45 cents, 46 cents, it's not even the all-time high when it comes to Algorand. So at the same time, if things could only just go back to its all-time high, am I choosing Algorand or am I choosing Bitcoin? I don't know why I would choose Bitcoin, but that's just personally my perspective, given that parameter, right? Given those parameters, I should say. And given those conditions, I don't know why I would want to choose Bitcoin in that case, but that's just personally my perspective. I am not telling anyone to do anything. But furthermore, Algorand, people like to say, well, it's cooked. Well, I don't really agree with that in a fundamental standpoint of view because it does have an aspect of ISO 20022. A lot of people out there like to say that, well, that doesn't matter. Well, why does it randomly matter when it comes to Ripple and Stellar having an aspect of that, but then it's suddenly ignored when it comes to Algorand? Having an aspect of ISO 20022 is having an aspect of ISO 20022. It doesn't really kind of matter in which project it is if it has an aspect of that. In some cases, people would arguably maybe consider it to be pretty cool. So if it's cool when it comes to Ripple and Stellar, why wouldn't it be cool here? I mean, it's the kind of same basic gist, right? It is ISO 20022. So if people like to say, well, it doesn't matter when it comes to Algorand, but then suddenly why does it matter when it comes to Ripple and Stellar? It just doesn't make sense if that's the case. But that's just my perspective. As of right now, still holding, still waiting. I'll see what happens. I treat it like a marathon anyways, so whatever happens in the short to medium term, it is what it is. But I'm thinking more so about the long term, and I'm willing to wait. That's just what I'm doing. I went into this space knowing that I'd probably have to wait for quite a while. It's like, for instance, if I'm trying to cook instant noodles, I expect it to be pretty quick. But if I'm trying to make chicken pot pie, trying to make brisket, trying to make a stew, it might take quite a while. So I can't go inside, let's say, my kitchen, and then I think about, oh, I have to make chicken pot pie, and think about it in the same way that I think about making instant noodles. It's a different ball game. It's a different perspective. It's a different mindset. So the mindset I have as of right now is that I'll probably have to wait for quite a while. I don't know how long I'm going to have to wait, but I'll be waiting anyways, even though I'm not telling anyone to do anything. However, I'll be sure to make more updates when it comes to Algorand moving forward, so hopefully you all stay tuned for that. I just want to say thank you for watching, and I hope you all have a very nice day. I'm out. Peace. Bye.